All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate your time on the African Portal Radio TV International. It's a good morning here in South Africa, and to the rest part of the world, I greet you from here, from our beautiful studio here in Waterkloof in Pretoria, South Africa. I celebrate every single one of you born on this special day. Happy birthday to people celebrating their birthday on this day. Let me use this time to greet everyone, no matter the country you reside, no matter where you are on earth. I greet you according to your time zone, and I greet you according to your language. In South Africa, Moloini, Njani, bonjour to everyone in the French-speaking country, and also to everyone, hello. In East Africa, Abarisa, Muchana, and northern part of Africa, eastern part of Africa, southern part of Africa, West Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hola. Thank you everyone that is joining us. It's going to be a great conversation, and I want you to please join us as we're going to engage with one of the great leaders in our community. And it's going to be trashing out, dealing with some of the issues in our continent, Africa. It's a global voice on the African Portal Radio TV International. My name is Dario Luso, and it's going to be a beautiful, lovely conversation right here, right now. Join me as I welcome my guests to this broadcast this hour. The one and only, the one of the great leader, the legend, doing well, making sure the community is progressing, making sure Africa is on the map. Let's celebrate this great man. Help me make a warm welcome as I welcome to our studio in Pretoria, South Africa, one of the great leaders of our time. Join me to celebrate Mr. Kenneth Khabo Mabe. Thank you for your time, and I really appreciate your time on the African Portal. Before I read you of your bow, let me firstly allow you to introduce yourself and greet everybody at home.
My brother, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak on this very, very important platform. It's an honor and a privilege indeed to be able to talk to our brothers and sisters around the globe on some of the most pressing issues of the day that we will be discussing. It is an honor, and I look forward to a conversation and our exchange. Thank you again.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And everyone, please join us, share this program, let it go viral. The more you share it, the more you give it opportunity to go viral. You can go to our YouTube channel, it's live and direct, and our Facebook is trending there. Make sure if you're on the Facebook, you can also put your comments on the comment section. And remember that those of you that will be coming in, you are the co-host of this program. So I'm not the only host. You that you are commenting out there, you are the co-host, and also you can call us or join the conversation. Call +27 78 703 3584. Call that number in case you have anything to say. You want to add or you want to clarify some certain things on this conversation. It's a global voice. Let's hear the voice of one of the global leader, one of the face for the faceless, one of the powerful leader of our generation. Great man, doing well in our community. Let me tell you a bit about him and what he's doing. This great man is one of the leader in our community here in Pretoria, Attribute to be precise, and is one of the very, very learned Africa. Mr. Kenneth Khabo Mabe, Masters of Arts, Public Policy, MPP, International Political Economy in Georgetown University. Oh, there's so many things you're going to be seeing here in Washington. And DC, May 1993, Bachelor of Arts, BA, Major Political Science, Minor Sociology and African, that's at St. Lawrence University, Canton, New York, June 1991. St. Lawrence University, that is 1991, also University of Oxford, Summer Program, African Study, 1989. He traveled all over the world, to Caribbean, Southern and Western Africa, Europe, Canada, and the US. Now finally based, come back and reside in Africa, in Attrivia, a beautiful, lovely suburb of Victoria. With this, please, if you are listening to me, open your camera and welcome Mr. Kennedy Khabo Mabe onto this program. Sir, once again, I'm so excited. If I should be reading your bio, I think it's going to take me another 2 or 3 hours because you are one of the great achiever or great leader that have achieved a lot in our community. Let's get to the conversation. Let's talk about what you are doing currently. Let's talk about your project. What do you have right now? What is happening in our community right now?
My brother, thank you again for the opportunity to address this platform. I'm involved in a wide range of issues. Some local, some are national, some are also international. But as they always say, all politics is local. So I'm very passionate about what is happening at the local level. So I'm involved with a wide range of community civic organizations whom I have joined them in supporting some of the initiatives and programs that they have forwarded to previous and current local leadership around issues of service delivery, economic development, crime, empowerment of the community. So I'm involved in that space. And obviously I weigh in on some of the germane national issues of development. I write and I participate in various platforms to do that. But given my history and familiarity and experience working in the US and South Africa space, I have continued to maintain the relationship that I have forged over 25 and a half years of studying and working in the United States. I completed my high school at one of the prep school in Massachusetts. I moved on to go to St. Lawrence University in New York, and then it was Georgetown. And I also moved to New Orleans, US Virgin Islands. So I've had the privilege and honor of moving around that country, and I can humbly and respectfully say I have a very intimate understanding of the political, social, and cultural dynamics of that country, and especially as it relates to South Africa, the continent, and its place in the world. Which is why in 20 years ago, I started hosting the annual South Africa Week, which was an event where we brought South African businessmen and women. And I'm proud to say that in 2010, when the world was talking very negatively about issues of safety and issues of violence in South Africa, two of the now prominent political giants, as in Mr. Julius Malema and Fikile Mbalula, they were some of the people who graced the annual South Africa Week with their presence to argue and convince Americans that it's safe to not only come to South Africa to be part of the World Cup, but also to invest and visit South Africa, which is the gateway to the African continent. So these two leaders, among many others that I have hosted over the years, have been able to promote the African agenda, issues around community development and progressive politics, and I've been part of those initiatives and movements. And one of the events we are working on now, as you know, with the US presidential election coming up on November 5th, I think there's a whole lot of things people do not know and understand about the significance of this event. So myself and my other strategic partners, we decided that we will organize initiatives on that day on November 5th to bring students, community, business folks, and others together to observe and celebrate the event, but also to share information. Why the importance of sharing information is because there is this misunderstanding of or misplacement rather of the role and the importance of the US government, and also vis-a-vis the American community and the American citizens and their relationship with the world. So the America Day that we plan to host was geared towards promoting that and also raising awareness around the role and importance of the US in our development from a historical standpoint, and also looking futuristically, because the future is what we are also concerned about. That event was originally planned to be an all-day event, which will involve students and, as I indicated, all these different constituencies. Now, with the response that we have received, I should also add, very overwhelming response we have received from some of the schools we have targeted, some of the non-profit organizations and community organizations that we have partnered with. We have reached out to the American Embassy, we have reached out to the mayor's office, the business community and non-profit organizations. And again, overwhelmingly, the support and interest is there. But we have also run into some very, what I say, challenging but exciting problems, where people were saying, look, the timing might be bad because students are writing exams. We as non-profit organizations who want to throw our support behind this thing and partner with you guys, especially around the non-profit aspect of the day-long event. The embassy also is involved with the elections coming up. You know, obviously, it goes without saying that the ambassador, just like any other political appointees around the world, they also are on balance, not knowing whether it will be Donald Trump or it will be Kamala Harris come November 5th. So there has been a request to say that maybe we move the event, especially the fully packed event, maybe around to have it coincide with the inauguration day in January. So what we're going to have on November 5th is a medium to full scale event during the day, where we'll have, yes, the American buffet, dinner, socializing, and also view the election results, and also turn that into an opportunity to camaraderie and as a prelude to the big one that we'll be doing on January 20th. So we want to also take this opportunity to thank those who have come up to rally and back us and support this call to have this America Day in South Africa, in Atteridgeville. And Atteridgeville, as many of you know, is a very unique town by itself. For those who do not know, is the first African town on the African continent. Atteridgeville was the first Black town, and we'll have some of the people who will be talking about that history as well. And remember, it's part of the nation's capital, and we have the honor and privilege of having our own giants and also political leaders, whom I know, my friend, you know, with your knowledge and history and long stay in this part of the world. You know, we produce the now Minister of Energy, as in Dr. Sputa Ramokopa. We also have the treasurer, national treasurer of the African National Congress, the first woman executive mayor in the country, if I'm not mistaken, as in Gwen Ramokopa. So as Atteridgeville, we have a rich history of being involved in issues that has national and international implications. So the US also gets in the mix along the way. So my involvement, back to your original question, what am I involved with? What am I doing now? It's a whole slew of things that I'm involved in around community building, community awareness, citizens' rights, and also issues that are of concern to us as Africans in this new world that we are trying to reconstruct under difficult, trying times. But the details, obviously, I look forward to getting more as we discuss. And So it's a mixture of hard, solid work, and some is also part of using entertainment and fun to celebrate Africa, our culture. As you know, that I have seen on this platform promoting one of the exciting event coming up on November 10th, which is the Jollof Wars in South Africa. So we look forward to that event as also one of the rallying ways of bringing Africans together to celebrate our culture, our diversity, our uniqueness over food and drink. So there's a whole lot of things that we are happening. I'm involved with, and again, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about
All right.
myself, as I am doing.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Kennedy. I really appreciate it. I want to give somebody opportunity, but can you do me a favor? Can you please move a bit to the middle of the camera? Because I want to bring somebody in now to this side. Yes. A bit more? Yes, thank you very much. I can see Terry, and I see that she's a woman, and I would love to have a voice to say something about you and also connect to this conversation. Let me allow Terry to come in. Terry, I really appreciate you joining this conversation. I don't know where you are joining from, but I celebrate you and I really appreciate you connecting with us. Please kindly unmute yourself. Let's hear your voice. I would like to hear your beautiful voice. Your line is mute. All right. Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. All right. Tell us a bit. What do you know about Mr. Kennedy? What can you tell us about Mr. Kennedy Khabo?
Thank you very much, and so much appreciate being on this platform. I hope you can hear me well.
We can hear you very well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bra Kennedy, I really appreciate this connection. We've actually just reconnected recently, Libut Kennedy. We grew up on the same street, and I didn't know when we met, and when he saw my name, he recognized my surname and told me who he was, and I was so much excited. But more than anything is to see all the work, the plowing back in our community of Attridgeville, and it's such an inspiration that I've been telling my whole family about what you're doing with Kennedy, and we are 100% in support, and we are definitely coming to the dinner on in the evening just to support and all the work that sometimes you forget how the role that America played in our I remember my sister received a scholarship in the 80s to go and study abroad, and all the developments that took place and the growth that some of us and the family we are grateful for. The politics are politics, and they will remain politics, but in terms of the appreciation that we have. So, Good Kennedy, through you, Chair, it's really an honor and a privilege to share with you and to say well done and good luck, and looking forward to forging further relationships with you. Thank you.
All right, Terry, thank you very much for connecting to this program. Terry, you're going to do me a favor because I love it when you are speaking English, but I'm one of the people that is campaigning against English. I want to make sure that African language is back fully, and we are proud to. I just want you to greet everybody listening to us in your own home language and let them know that you are on the African portal in your own language.
Dumelang le kae ke Terry mona ke tswa Attridgeville ke goletse Attridgeville, born and bred ke tsene Holy Trinity ka tsena St. Anne's. So ke a le dumedisa go monate yang go ba le batho ba ko gae. I hope everybody okay mo rometseng this link ba attendile le bona. So ke nna motho wa Attridgeville, born and bred. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Africa. And thank you, Terry, for coming in, and we really appreciate you connecting with this broadcast. This program is live and direct on our Facebook and also on our YouTube. You can go to the African portal, you can share it and tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody to join this conversation. I really appreciate your time, Terry. Thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, I have Caroline. Caroline is joining us. I just want to give few people opportunity to come in to be part of this conversation. If you have questions, Terry, you can send the question to us. You want to make it clarity on some of the conversation, you are allowed also to come in and make a contribution. You are part of this conversation and you are co-host of this conversation. I'm not sure if Caroline is here. Caroline, if you are there, you can open your camera. Let me put you on the spotlight. Let's hear your voice. Let's allow you to greet people. But if you are not there, you can continue. Caroline, if you are there, you can open your camera. Let's hear your voice. Let's see your face. All right. While we are waiting for her, let's get to the conversation. Yes, sir. I'm so excited about how you lay the foundation. And I'm so happy that we have people like you, knowledgeable people like you, that understand the situation of what is happening currently in our continent, Africa. Let's talk about the relationship between South Africa and America and why this election coming next month. Why is it important to Africa?
My brother, thank you for the question. And that question is a very important one. And I think I'll be remiss if I did not pick up on a point Osteri made earlier on about the history and the important role the United States played in Africa and also in South Africa. To talk about the US and South Africa, I think we need to compartmentalize the US as in the US government and the US as in the people and the civil society. Historically, there has been a disconnect between the US community, civil society, and the US government as it relates to South Africa, just like we're finding and seeing it now with what is playing out in the Middle East. Americans and the civil society, by and large, have been our friends for many, many years. As Meteri indicated, in the 60s and 70s, they provided scholarships for many of our current leaders who studied in the US, and they continue to do that even post-apartheid. The US and especially the African-American community, they are the ones who led the anti-apartheid, the divestment movement in the US. In fact, coincidentally, next month on Thanksgiving, we will be celebrating the 30th year of anti-apartheid movement in the US. Many of you will recall when Randall Robinson, Jesse Jackson, Andrew Young, and a whole slew of African Americans stormed the South African apartheid embassy on our behalf and also in support of a free South Africa movement. So on a political end, America has been very instrumental, not to mention the obvious part, which is they have one of the largest investment in this country in terms of the number of businesses that operate in South Africa and also out of South Africa to support their operations on the African continent. Militarily, economically, and otherwise, Americans have always been part of the South African milieu. A lot of companies hire our citizens, and a lot of American companies are well invested in this country and the continent. The upcoming election is important on several fronts. Some scholars and analysts have argued that whoever becomes the next American president will be in a position to determine influence and to some large extent be in a position to determine whether we go to World War III or we avoid World War III because of the way the power dynamics of the world are. Some of the issues that are taking place or discussions taking place in the international bodies from the world, the United Nations, and also the push and pull between BRICS and also Western aligned countries, and the emerging South. You know, the AU, I mean, AU is also asserting itself. So we are no longer talking about the scramble for Africa anymore, but we are talking about how Africa now is being taken as a key principal partner when decisions are being made. So this election is of importance for us for different reasons, also because of our historic relationship and also the importance that the new American leadership role and the power they will have post the election. So it's of interest, I will argue, for each and everyone on the continent and also in South Africa itself. With us in Atteridgeville, if I can localize it, the city of Tshwane has a sister relationship with Washington, D.C., a relationship that I was also involved in forging. But because of the imbalances and inability to maintain consistency in building these partnerships, the role and involvement of Americans has not been one that I think has been used or strengthened to its fullest. So it's our hope for some of us that whoever becomes the next American president will be able to encourage relationship building at the local, provincial, national, both business-wise, non-profit, and also the civil society. And I want to talk a bit about the civil society because the civil society is very key to the development of our communities. Something that I indicated, we have won our former mayor to say engage the civil society with integrity and in principle. He failed to do that, and that's part of the reason why he is where he is now. But the civil society and also at the grassroots level in South Africa and also in the US have been very involved in supporting economic development initiatives, especially post 1994. There's on the last count, over 50 South African cities that has sister-to-sister relationship with American cities, where resource exchange or expertise exchange can take place. And also some of these American companies will have an opportunity to invest and also help in our development process. So the history of Americans in South Africa is a long one, it's a deep one, and it's an important one that still needs to be cultivated, be honored, and nurtured. That is why some of us who have had the benefit of living and studied on both sides of the ocean, and we know how important it is because there are Americans who understand the interconnection between what happens in Atteridgeville, in South Africa, on the continent, and how it affects them also on the US side. So the relationship is a rich one, it's an important one, and whoever becomes the next president of the country will either affect it positively or negatively, and that is why we must pay attention and also be involved in our continued vigilance, so to speak.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to be making it a bit snappy so that we can be able to cover some of the questions that we have for you. Let's quickly look at the current generation, because you're talking about the post 1994. You're talking about the previous generation, but the current generation seems not to have interest in America. They say America is bullies. They are trying to control economy. Dollar should not be the yardstick for other currencies, and all that is happening. And look at the issue of BRICS. Look at what BRICS is planning. Look at the progress that is happening in BRICS. What is your concern about this, and where do you see this going?
You see, Sister Terry said it very, very accurately, saying politics will always be politics. the world it's a place where we are forever fighting for power, control, and influence. The question is what kind of power and how we use that power. Unfortunately, as a historical fact, there have been periods, times when the United States' role in the world has not been as positive as some of us would have liked. But that does not preclude or deny the fact that they have also been very positive in other ways. Some of the issues the current youth and our public officials have raised about the American, some will say American imperialism and superiority issues, they are valid, and that's manifested itself in so many other different ways. Some of the resistance within international bodies for other governments and continents to have a fair share, a fair place at the negotiation and decision-making table. They are real. They are, even Stevie Wonder can see that the Americans' role and involvement has not been fair. So the youth are correctly, they are correct in their argument that there are challenges and issues within that relationship, and it needs to be revisited, it needs to be changed, it needs to be amended. And mind you, it's not only the youth in South Africa, on the African continent, who are raising those issues. There are youth, especially within civil society in universities in the US, who are also making those same arguments to their government, that there has to be a balance, there has to be equality and justice all across board. So the fight for equality and fairness around the world, it's a universal one that I also support and I agree. And in some of the things that we do, and I have supported in the past and also in currently and in the future, they are all about making sure that those kind of discussions are taken seriously and addressed. And it gets even more amplified when you consider that we almost have 50% unemployment among the youth. The issues of youth. Some people said nihilism and emptiness, hopelessness. I mean, our youth in this country and on the continent have a lot of problems that not only emanate from what the United States have done, some of them are also self-created by our own local politicians, local leaders, who must also take responsibility. So the issue is not only externally imposed, but some of it is coming from internal. So we must strike a balance when we raise concerns and issues about what is wrong with the status quo, and also be very honest, rational, and fair about the kind of solutions and answers we want to bring to bear. And also bearing in mind that in this current debate, there are some people who really are serious about addressing these issues, and some who are taking advantage of the plight of our people and using it for their own selfish political interests. But the situation is very serious. The situation requires very sober, honest conversations and discussions with an eye on finding lasting solutions.
All right, let me take you there. Finding the lasting solution. What is your organization is doing now? Since we already identified the problem, we talk more about the good side, about the benefit, about things that Americans have done to Africa or to South Africa. But let's look at the current situation and what the youth are calling for. What is the organization is doing to find a permanent solution to this problem?
Yeah, you see, one cannot talk about solutions without understanding the importance of the role that public officials play in the dilemma, because a lot of them are sitting on power and resources that will affect, influence the outcome of our discussions about what the youth and the society needs. Issues of unemployment are real. We need a government that promote public-private partnership. We have a lot of ingenious youth and youth organizations All they need is to just be given space and opportunity to come with programs that are dear to them as the youth and also dear to our communities, but that will also create jobs. Issues of crime, they are real. The fact that also you have a situation in our townships, Attridgeville, that's the one that is closest to me, where you have a billing system, issues of service delivery. So all of those things, they affect the youth and everybody the same, and in many instances, because of the historic issues of racial discrimination, Black folks end up being the ones who are mostly affected. So we are supporting some of the local community initiatives that are led by civil organizations. We are also supporting some of the initiatives that we know that the incoming mayor has talked about, that our organization will be part of that. We are encouraging, because of our relationship with some of these American companies, they must embark upon real, pragmatic, beneficial, social responsibility initiatives that will create jobs, that will build on some of the initiatives that are happening on the ground to bring stability, peace, and tranquility in our community. So we are involved in a whole slew of them. We also are promoting initiatives around development, renovation, rehabilitation of parks and open spaces in town and also in townships. So mentoring programs, it's a combination of initiatives that we are promoting in support of the youth and total development of our community. So it's a wide range of them.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. Now that you have already given us what you are doing to make sure that there is a solution, let me take you on this. Whoever that become American president, what is your advice? What are you expecting from them?
Yeah, that's a very loaded one, my brother. But I'll try and share. Number one, whoever gets elected must set a new tone for the world. Must set a new tone for the world. That the America cares and is concerned about the issues of inequality, ignorance, and injustice that is taking place across board. Everybody is paying attention to issues around Ukraine and also in the Middle East. That issue there must be some end to those wars. On the African continent, by the way, the continent is the fastest growing continent around the world. American engagement, involvement, and work with the continent at the business level, at the political level, at the civil society level, and also in relation to the involvement and partnership with civil society, faith groups. America must now live up to its promise of equality, fairness, and justice. People must feel and know that the new administration and the new leadership will be promoting those things with integrity, fairness, and seriousness that we have never seen before. And engagement of our respected, acknowledged political leadership and community leadership must also be respected and engaged, because the solutions we have written about what we think is best for Africa and for Africans. So whoever becomes the next leader must pay increase and different type of attention and focus on what we as Africans we want as solutions for African problems, because the problems we understand and we know them better than anybody else. So whoever comes in must set the tone and also engage us in a manner and way in which we have never been involved as equal partners. And that's very important, as equal partners. And that will help in getting us to where we need to go and find the kind of lasting solution that we are always talking about. So
you are listening. Okay. Yeah, we can round up.
Yeah, I was saying that ICE will be on the next president in a way in a very unprecedented way, because there's a need for a different type of partnership, a different type of collaboration, and the world has changed and is rapidly changing. So the new leader must then also set a new tone and demonstrate commitment to working with Africans and the South in a way in which it has not been done before.
All right. One of the agenda of one of the candidates, which is Donald Trump, is American First. What is your own take in this? Are you in support of this ideology of American First, or what is your own view or your own thinking about it? What is that a good idea? Are you in support of that?
No, it's actually a very, very dangerous idea, whose days and times are long gone and long past. As much as Donald Trump might have some support within certain pockets of the American public, but by and large, Americans don't buy into that. Americans understand that they are part of the family of the universe, and they are part of a family of the world, and they want to be part of it and engage in a fair and equitable manner. But you must also remember that what Donald Trump is saying is not only unique to the US. We have seen this trend also in some parts of Europe and even in some parts of South Africa. So there is a rise of xenophobic tendencies, nationalistic tendencies, and certain ways, certain forms of racism that must be attacked and discouraged at all times, and with the might that we can master. So I am completely, totally, and unequivocally opposed to this divisive rhetoric that comes from Donald Trump, because it's not good for the Americans, it's not good for the world, it's definitely not good for the African continent. And as much as we condemn it with the Americans, we must also do the same with some of those who are doing it in Europe, who are also doing it in South Africa, and some are doing it even in our own very city of Pretoria. People who want to divide our communities among townships, who want to divide our communities between blacks and whites, and also who want to divide our communities between migrants, non-migrants, legals and illegals. So this new rise of divisive politics has no place in the 21st century. So I've gone on record saying it, I've written about it, and I will also say it at this point on this platform, that it has no place in this day and age.
All right, thank you very much. You have been following American election for many years. You live in America. Do you think America is ready for female president?
Absolutely. They've come close previously with Hillary, and by the way, there have also been a black woman, a female candidate in the past. So Americans have been ready. It's just that politics being what it is, has been a stumbling block. But I think now the American citizenry has matured enough, and they are ready for somebody who is qualified, somebody who is a unifying force, somebody who will reach out to communities and the diverse community that America, which prides itself for being a melting pot. So somebody who has been talking that language and who have made those kind of pledges and commitment is none other than Vice President Harris. So we hope Americans will give her a chance to lead. But again, that's a decision for Americans to make. But in terms of what I think will be somebody who will serve our interests and serve our interests in a very progressive and empowering way, I think out of the two candidates, she is the one. The world has changed. There have been female presidents all over the world, all over the African continent. So it's time Americans select a woman, black woman president, mind you, And I don't have to lecture and tell you about the power of a black woman. We've seen it manifest and demonstrate itself in so many facets of our lives. And as somebody who was also raised by women, that resonates with me in a very unique, special way. But America being ready for a black female president, without question, absolutely.
The election before the last election, we have the same scenario. And at the end of the day, towards the end of the counting the election, the table changed. And we now have Donald Trump beating the Hillary Clinton. A lot of people are saying that the same thing will happen. You agree with that?
No, well, anything is possible. That's the interesting part about American politics. Anything is possible. So I will not be one to sit here and say I agree that the Electoral College will also give the final word, but I'm hoping that will not be the case. And I know even a lot of Americans are not happy with the system, the way it's currently structured, that one can win the popular vote, but still lose because of a group of 200 and something individuals who then decide the destiny and the future of a country. So it's a toss-up. Like I said, anything is possible in that part of the world, but I hope that will not be the case.
All right, I don't want us to dwell so much in this because we have to come back home. We have to talk about ourselves. Let's look at the issue of local government in our continent, especially in Africa. Is declining. The local government is the grassroots, is the foundation of every government. But we're now seeing that most of our local governments, like look at the South African, few months ago, there is a report that said that after the auditing the local government, only few local governments are 100% in order. What is your view about this, and what can we do to address this problem?
Yeah, we have over 520, if not 523 municipalities in this country. And a lot of them are in bad shape. There's no sugarcoating about it. They're in bad shape not because of the absence of leadership. I'm one who have traveled and been around long enough to know that there is leadership in this country, and it's not rocket science to turn our local government around. There ought to be political will, and people should be given opportunity to step up and do what they do best. Issues of bureaucracy must be the order of the day. We don't have to continue appointing and hiring people who are not qualified, who are not skilled enough, who are not professional enough to address the issues that affect our communities. So it's issues of political will. I think with what we have gone through in the past 30 years, our communities have had enough, and people are ready to step up and say we want to be counted. And the situation is, it cannot get worse than it has been. So we need leadership, both at the political level and also at the civil society level, and communities must be involved in this transformation process. Systems must be put in place. Rules and laws that we talk about them, but they don't get implemented, must be implemented and also adhered to. The rule of law, we talk about corruption, fraud, those things must be a thing of the past as well. And people must emerge and be given opportunity to step up and do what our communities need. So with the new political air or culture that has now risen locally and internationally, I think things will get better, and the civil society is speaking. And some of the politicians who have dominated the scene, they realize that they cannot continue to mislead and also misuse our government resources while our problems are getting bigger and worse. Some of us have presented proposals to our local and also national and provincial leaders to say, there are specific areas and ways in which our problems can be solved. Again, the same way I was saying earlier on, that we need to set a different tone. That's what it is needed. Set a different tone that we are now playing catch up. If one was to argue that we are playing catch up because for the past 30 years, things that should have happened have not happened. So we must now play catch up to make things move on all different fronts. We must create jobs, we must improve the education system, we must stop violence and crime, and we must bring new sense of confidence and trust in our public officials and also elected officials. So setting the tone and putting the right people in positions of leadership is very key. That is why some of us are encouraged by what has happened in the city of Tshwane with the newly elected consensus leader. 7 different political parties came together and said, out of all of us, some have ruled and run the city before to a different degrees of success. But now let us give somebody else, as in the new executive mayor, a chance to lead. And what have they done? They have come up with issues that all of them agree to about empowerment of the communities, economic development, fighting crime. Really, there's a political will of a different kind that we have never seen in our country that we are seeing emerging in the city of Tshwane. So we are hopeful that Tshwane will be the kind of shining example of a city that the country need and also the world need. So we have raised some of those issues we would like them to address that runs the gamut. And we just want to give the new leadership an opportunity to prove us wrong. And also even those who are saying the government of national unity will address the issues. You know, the jury is still out. We'll see what happens as time goes by. But solutions have been put on the table. We know what the solutions are. Problems we know we have analyzed and over-analyzed them. It's time to act.
All right. Thank you very much, because you mentioned it's time to act. And this problem is not the only problem facing South African alone. It's declining all over Africa. The local government system in Africa, it becomes something that we need to pay attention and make a quick solution to. And saying that, if you look at Attrivie, where you have few months or last year, we have the issue of cholera, whereby people drink water. And what is the progress now? Can you give us an update? Is there anything getting better, or is the government doing anything to make sure this kind of thing is not happening anymore?
Yeah, in fact, I'm very happy to tell you that I heard it first